Panos Moumtzis, the UN Regional Humanitarian Coordinator for the Syria crisis, joining us now via Skype from Riyadh. Hello to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. 6 hospitals hit over the last 48 hours. These poor people. The corridor, the humanitarian corridor, would certainly help.
Well, the humanitarian corridor is desperately needed. We have really been calling it now for days and days. It's taken for ages for the Security Council resolution and the Security Council to come up together to a resolution. Finally, they come to one, and yet is not applied. Now we've had 2 more days of continuous hostilities in Ghouta and in other locations, with dozens of more people killed. The current proposal to have a ceasefire for 5 hours, really we're struggling to see how to make it, because to take trucks into Ghouta, to offload them, to do the distribution, for the trucks to come out on time and for the people to return to their homes safely, that's a very, very narrow margin to be able to logistically handle all of that. We need a ceasefire. The Security Council resolution called for a 30 days immediate ceasefire to be able really to access people, to provide some alleviation, to take out the medically injured, and to bring in food and medical supplies that is desperately needed in Ghouta.
The UN Security Council seems to be an organisation very much without teeth when it comes to Syria, even when they get Russia to agree, another member of the Permanent Security Council, of course. Even when they agree, little seems to have happened.
Absolutely. I think what we see with Syria and the Security Council is a total paralysis. It's a failure of humanitarian diplomacy. It's a failure of our, ability to really bring an end when there is extreme violence taking place in a location. So it's highly frustrating on our side as humanitarian workers. We are just 10 miles down the road from Ghouta. Our warehouses have food, have medical supplies that we know will make a difference, that we know will change lives. A Security Council resolution has passed, and yet we still don't have the authorizations to be able to enter, to bring the assistance that is needed on a massive scale. 400,000 people are in Ghouta. They haven't received assistance for months and months. They have been under intense bombing. We know there is hundreds of people who are injured. We know there is really a situation that cannot wait another minute. So we really feel frustrated with this lack of the world order, the world's ability to intervene in these extreme situations. It looks like we never learned the history lessons.
So what happens when this humanitarian corridor is open for 5 hours a day between 9 and 2 local time? What is it that you do? It's a race against time. You have to get as many supplies in as you can and as many civilians out as possible in that time?
Yeah, I mean, also we have to take into consideration the do no harm approach. We have to make sure that humanitarian intervention within that short time frame will not really bring people at risk, because what happens when that 5 hours passes and the distribution is still ongoing, where for whatever reason it hasn't been completed? Are we going to be putting people's lives at risk? Of course, we need every hour of a ceasefire that we can get, but also we have to be reasonable in terms of really ensuring that it's sufficient for us to be able to operate, to go to all these remote mountains locations, for the people to come out and for them to receive the assistance and then to return safely to their homes. First priority is protection of civilians. We have to make sure that in our work, in our conduct, we provide assistance, we save lives, and we do not expose people to more risk if they all come out for food and then bombing starts while food is distribution taking place, or while they're on the way going home.
Airdrops, is that an option?
Airdrops really is not, because, I mean, again, Ghouta, this is an area that is just, 10 miles from downtown Damascus. So what is needed is really the political will, to implement a humanitarian ceasefire for a limited period of 30 days. So that's really what should happen for us to be able to bring this urgently needed life-saving assistance.
And what will happen to the people who come out?
Well, if assistance goes in, of course, everybody's going to come out, because people have had very little food in their homes. Actually, many of them have has really almost nothing left. The medical supplies need to be delivered to the health facilities that are still functioning. More than half are actually bombed out and dysfunctioning. So if people come out to receive the assistance, we have to make sure that there is enough time for the trucks to drive in, and these are large convoys. We're talking about 20, 40 or more trucks. They need to go to distribution point. They need to offload. Distribution needs to take place. The trucks need to come out safely. People need to be able to go home with the assistance on time. 5 hours is really not enough. It's very tight to be able to do it responsibly for the people that were there to help.
Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. That humanitarian corridor, sponsored by the Russians, if you will, likely to come into effect on Tuesday of next week. Of course, we'll monitor that for you here on Sky News. Quick look at the sport.